Hello RC Racing fans, welcome back to our coverage here of the EFRA 1/8 Nitro Buggy European B Championships, and there's a little bit of downtime. The track's actually quite peaceful, there's no sound coming from it, which means that everyone's retired to the bunkers, a little bit of lunch and a little bit of a tune-up. So what we're going to do is have an investigate around the pits and see about the breaking stories, what's going on, and get some news from down on the ground here at the European B Championships. Let's have an investigate. Let's come in here. The pits are split into sort of two sections here. Got this outer section here, and then through there, the other wall, and there's also the timing area around there. You can just see on the wall there all the times from across the previous session spread out for the competitors there, including the overall total times through 2 rounds of qualifying. As we've just finished qualifying round 2, we're heading on to round 3 very soon. Is the X-ray table. Let's see if we can grab some people to have a word with and try not to spill anyone's drinks while we're doing it. I find that's not a good way to make friends generally. Let's see if we can have a look round here. See if anyone's on this. Excuse me? Does he speak English?
No.
He does? I feel like it might have been just been set up. Do you speak English?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Johnny Ferté, and I come from France.
Good to have you here. What are your expectations for the event? How are you feeling? What do you hope to achieve this weekend?
Actually, his driver is him, so his expectation, of course, is to go for the final and have a quite good result. He representing Team Durango and Novarus Engine and Prosecute Tires. So basically, there is a good shoot for it, and the facilities is just awesome. The tracks start to be quite difficult. It doesn't look like, but it's really difficult, and you have to work all the time on the car to get the speed you need every time you go out.
So we've just been talking about that on the broadcast a little bit. Just talk to us, how do you change the setup of the car to kind of keep up with the racetrack?
Actually, you can only anticipate from your experience. And right now, for example, we know that we are just focusing on preparing the car, finding a good setup based on semi-final and final condition. So the track, we know that it will get bumpy as part if it's maybe rain. But yes, we do get an anticipation of setup, and we know that it's going to get more bumper. And basically during the time also, we know we will need more traction because the track is starting to be more slippery.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for the insight there. Best of luck, guys, for the rest of the weekend. Good to speak to you guys. Cheers. Well, that's very interesting. That really tallies back in with what we've been talking about so far, about how the track surface has kind of changed and how keeping up with the racetrack is really important. Sorry, you're not photobombing too much. And that was a really interesting bit of setup analysis there and a bit of insight. Let's see if we can have a look around here. Some very busy activity. I'm not going to disturb these guys. Might be worth a word, but they are busy working on the cars. Frank's getting in some good shots there. Some really good setup stuff there as well. Hang on, let's see if I can just poke my head in. You guys speak English?
Yeah, we are.
Cool. What's the name? Where are you from?
My name is Jérôme Sartel. I'm coming from France.
It's a big. We get most of the French people here so far, which is really good. Great French representation. How are you feeling so far after 2 rounds of qualifying? How do you think it's going?
It's working not so bad. My drivers, the cheater drivers, are working good. So we TQ the first hit with Gonzalo Melo and did second with Lopez. Thomas was 5. So in the second, they did a few mistakes, but they are still fighting for the first place. So it's good.
It's all going well. Now, we saw out there that 9 laps in the 5-minute run or per heat appears to be the target. How hard has that been to achieve so far?
I think the track is getting worse every round, so it will be harder and harder to get the 9 laps, but they just need to be consistent, work on the car to be with. So I hope we will find the key to have the 9 laps. I think it's still possible, but a bit more difficult now.
And how do you change the setup between qualifying rounds to kind of keep up with the worsening racetrack?
We just actually try to adapt the car with the bumps, which is bigger this morning. Yesterday car was super good. Now we just try to make it a bit more comfortable.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for talking to us. Good luck to you and you guys for the rest of the day. All right, cheers. And again, more on the recurring theme of the track changing throughout each session. It really is interesting to hear about that. And I think we could just nip round. Frank, is there a way we can come round to the other segment of the pit. They're kind of split into two builds here. We need to pop back through the front area. Thanks for coming with me. I'm leading my cameraman on all sorts of merry-go-round. That's what I often do. Yeah. Busy activity. Right. There he goes. Sorry, I lost signal for just a second there. Oh, here we go. Boisterous front section of the pits. This is right here on the racetrack. This is very close. Let's see if I can squeeze through here. I want to see if we can find the Brits. See if we can have a word over here. Do you speak English, sir?
Yes, I do.
All good. So what's your name? Where are you from?
Alberto, and I came from Malaga, Spain, south of Spain.
So not too far to travel for this one.
Well, we have been driving around 8 hours, more or less, 7-8 hours. So we came yesterday, and it was a very good trip with friends and all-time logging and speaking. It was nice.
That's what you want from RC racing trips, isn't it? You're with your mates, you're with your crew. It's all together. It's an all shared experience. So just talk to me. How's qualifying been going so far for you?
Well, the qualifying, are you talking about? Yeah, the qualifying was a little bit hard because the track yesterday had much more grip comparing with today. But okay, we are changing the setup and doing well to be faster right now. But the track is totally different comparing with the warm-up and totally different comparing with yesterday.
How do you anticipate, if you can anticipate at all, how do you think it will change for tomorrow for the races?
Well, I hope it will gain more traction and the track will be more clean, but we don't know. We don't know.
It's the guessing game, and it's what they pay you the big bucks for. It's what they pay you the big bucks for to guess for. So good luck, guys. Thanks very much for talking to us. Cheers. Squeeze through. Great bunch of guys over there. Great to hear them talk. And I just want to see if we can find the Brits. Can you see them around? They might be located down here. Have a look on some of the cars here. Some of the great setups. Ah, here we go. This will be the table with the Brits here. See if I can catch a word. Excuse me, sir. I have been going around asking people who speak English. I'm assuming that's all good. Right. What's your name and whereabouts in Britain are you from?
Steve Shakespeare. We moved from Shropshire in the UK, yeah.
Cool. How's qualifying been going so far for you?
Not great, to be honest. I broke the car on the first lap of the warm-up in the first heat. Then I had a bit of a scrappy run in the second run, so yeah, we've got 2 left and got to make most of it.
So you're kind of coming from behind, if you will. You kind of started behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, we're on the back foot now, so there's always a bit of pressure on, but I'm sure we'll get there eventually.
Cool. Well, good luck for making up that time through the rest of the session. Good, thanks for talking to us. See if we can have a word with some of the other Brits, some of the other guys here. Very important. Oh, cleaning the actual RC car. I thought you meant his full-scale car for a second. I was like, he's got more important things to do surely during this event, isn't he? Right, let's see if we can. Shall we squeeze through to the back, Frank? Got someone else to talk to down in the Lozzie camp. Excuse me, fellas, we all right to talk? You speak English? Cool. Good to speak to you, sir. What's your name and where you're from?
From Lisbon, Portugal.
Cool. What's your name?
Gonçalo Mel.
Okay. Good to speak to you here. How's qualifying been going so far for you?
Yes, it's very good. The car was awesome, and I would thank to RCH team and to Horizon Hobby that proposed that the car was awesome.
Excellent. And of course, you're in the home nation here, back in Portugal. Does that help you in any way? Have you got a lot more experience at this track potentially than other guys coming in?
Yes, the last months it's impossible to train here because are the rules, but yes, it's also an help because Portuguese people support us and it's easier.
Home support is really important for you. It must be a big factor for you. What are your hopes and expectations for the event?
So my expectations, first of all, I would like to semi-finals directly, and so far I think that the final is the best thing that for us.
Well, we hope you make it there. Good luck for the rest of the weekend. Thanks very much for talking to us. Cheers. All right, should we come back through, Frank? Through the middle. Make our way back towards the front slowly. Involved in a bit of dancing. It's all happening down here. It's all action down in the pits. But I hope you just had a little bit of a snapshot and just a little bit of a slice of what's happening here. Out here at the EFRA 1/8B Nitro Buggy European Championships. Food, we've just had some of that. And it went down very well indeed, I have to say. So we will be heading upstairs very, very shortly and heading back up to the broadcast now. Qualifying round 3, as you can see the timings for what's already occurred so far. These are all the times. These are what everyone in the pits will be looking at already. And you want to have a look over here and have a quicker look. Those are your standings after the first 2 rounds of qualifying. So, going into round 3, what are we feeling? We've had some people say that the track's getting worse. It's got less grip in it. Others saying that it's just merely changing, and it's very, very difficult to keep up with the pattern of the track. What we know for certain is that there's a lot more still to be decided here this weekend, and we'll be back on. Very shortly. Qualifying. Okay. I've just been told we've got plenty more time. Right, Frank, let's go. That's instead. Right, we will just head out. James will cut away and bring us back in a minute. Right, so we just moved around, and now we're out of the pits and onto the racetrack. This is where the serious stuff is going to be happening all weekend. We've already had 2 rounds of qualifying out here. We now have 2 more coming up very soon, and then tomorrow we'll have our raft of finals. So let's have a closer look at this racetrack here at Figueiredo in Portugal. Along here, the pit area, the gridding area. So you'll see everyone line up. This will come into a lot more importance during particularly the A-Main final, where there'll be around 3 or 4 round of pit stops, maybe a 5th. And in the lower finals at 20 minutes, there will be at least 1 pit stop per race. So this will be where you see a lot of the action happen. And quite seriously, quite honestly, you won't want to take your eyes off this area for a second when they're in there. Races can be won and lost in there, and quite often are. And we're walking down the main straight now. This is a long front straight, and you can just feel right now how the track is drying out. It's solidifying. There's a lot less loose material or gravel on the surface, which we were talking about earlier. We were talking about guys in the pits there were mentioning how the track is actually getting harder and losing grip. You can see up there the pits that we were just in was the front section of the pits and all the British contingent. I just want to show you up here what will be a very important element of this track. This is turn 1, this is the berm, and I want to show you just how high up this goes. Climb all the way up, that's how high it is. And right down again. That is a high banked first corner, and you can see here what I was talking about earlier with how the track is rubbering in. There's almost a kind of silvery sheen to the surface where the track is rubbering in, and I can feel underfoot as I'm stood here, there's plenty of grip in this bit. As soon as there's any of the loose gravel still on the surface, you start to lose it. And here's all the majority of the gravel up here, right up out of the groove. You don't want to get up this high because there's nothing but marbles and slow speed up here for the most part. So let's continue round. We were talking earlier about divots in the surface. There's a fairly major few. Going to keep our eyes out for that as we go round. And coming up is the TKR triple. This will be a key element of the track so far. You watch this first section, up over. Ideally, you don't want to do it how I'm doing it, which is jump by jump. You want to take off from the first jump, miss this one entirely, and land right about here on the third jump. So you want to miss out the middle jump entirely. That's the fastest way of doing it. One smooth movement. Easier said than done though, and it is all about the run out of that first corner that's going to make all the difference. Now these corners, as we've seen already, quite tricky. Quite a lot of gravel on the surface here, and the track is really starting to rut up. It's not smooth at all, but then again, have you ever expected an off-road track that is small, or smooth, I should say? This is certainly not small in any way. Now there are these certain elements, certain patches that Frank pointed out on the stream earlier. We'll take a look at those. Close look. You can see there some of the white marks on the track. Sorry, we just went off for a second. I think Frank got in the way of the camera and the transmitter. That's all right. We're back on though. Frank's wondering how he can go invisible for a second. Now this is the second set of triples, but the interesting thing about it is that the first jump we just walked over has been more of just a dip for the drivers. They just go over it, they don't actually jump off it, and then they aim to launch off of that jump there and then land right around here on this side. So that's where they've really been looking for the best grip and looking for the best runs through there. You'll notice that as much as possible, you can't afford to try and do singles of these jumps. You've got to double them where you can. But this is where there's a slight exception. There's this middle S section. There's one of those patches of tarmac or surface that we were just talking about with that kind of white material showing through. Here's another one here. This is where the track is really starting to rubber in. And this is a twisty middle sector technical section. We haven't seen much. You don't see much air through these middle jumps because of the way the track's turning. You don't want to go flying too far in a straight line and end up flying right off into all this loose material and gravel. And really, this is interesting walking this middle sector and how areas are more rubbered in than others. Like at the tops of the jumps, see, have a look at this, there's literally nothing. It's all loose gravel along the top. There's not a lot of surface there. So we go around. If we come round, this is a fairly interesting little corner. It's a fairly off-camera corner as well. You see it goes up here and then down again. That makes the run through the corner a bit trickier. And we have another pair of jumps here. Again, you want to double these two, although I've seen a lot of people single them and not really get much air off them. Because ideally, you want to just come just over the top here and through to that corner up there. And you can see up the top, the area that we really have been looking at a lot this weekend, which is the tabletop, which we're going to have somebody demonstrating in a rather cack-handed way, but up the tabletop we go. And you see the elevation change, you see it comes up. It's a fairly steep incline and it comes up and then rises, and then you take the turn, slight camber on the inside there, and then just as you come out the corner, you come right down again. And round this bottom end. Again, very technical course here. Emphasis on technical and emphasis on constant challenge. Now this is the back straight where we've been really paying a lot of attention to, because this has 4 jumps on it. Count them, 4. And the way to approach them, up this first one, right over. You don't single this second one. You look to land about here. So you double the first pair and you get a good run through. A lot of gravel built up down there. Up here for the second jump. And you want to land, ideally, right here. You don't really want to land on that tabletop because that will bring the car kind of shaking down to the ground. And it'll bounce up and it'll throw you off more stability. And you need all the stability you can get when you're braking hard for this corner down here, which has really rubbered in, as you can see. There's a lot of dried tarmac down here, a lot of dry material on the inside here. And you really see with that sort of glittery sheen on it, the glittery matte sheen on it. Now, this is a corner I really wanted to have a close-up look at. This is the tile hairpin. And look at this. It's like walking on your bathroom floor at home. And look at how little grip there is. There's just nothing there. So these cars come flying in and drifting out. No wonder we see them lock the brakes as they come in. And it really gets difficult. I hear some engines firing in the distance in pit lane, so... And the finish line is right there, so that's interesting. As is usually the case with the EFRA racetracks. Finish line's right here. It is not actually round on the front starting straight. So the battle for the win will be concluded right here. So that makes it even more interesting. The tile hairpin will literally be the last corner on the track before they come across the scoring loop. And that only reconfirms to me what I've been saying all along, that that corner is going to decide at least one of tomorrow's finals. Count on it right now. I'm not normally a betting person, but on that, I think that's a safe bet. And here's your final corner to come back round onto the start-finish straight. All the way up there. Long blast out the final corner. And there's a lap of the Freixedas racetrack here in Portugal, which is hosting the EFRA 1/8 Nitro Buggy European B Championships 2016. Here on RC Racing TV, I can hear some engines firing in the pit lane, so I think we're getting ready to go for qualifying round 3, which will be starting at 2 o'clock sharp here, local time and British time as well. Hope you enjoyed this little walk around the facility here at lunchtime, and we'll see you back up in the Crow's Nest for qualifying round 3.